Michelle, are you ready?
I was born ready.
She's an award-winning author, speaker, and podcast host who serves on the National Faith Advisory Council. She supported Donald J. Trump for president before it was cool. From her she shed in her beautiful backyard, this is the Michelle Moore Show.
Trophies have turned to rust. People have let me down. Who can I trust? I found earth's riches, but I lost my own worth. When I hit rock bottom, to whom else could I turn? It's all for nothing if it's not all for you, all for you. I'm merely existing if I'm not existing to worship you. 'Cause kingdoms fall and reigns will end, empires crumble and left in ruins. It's all for nothing if it's not all for you. All for you, Jesus. In you I found the greater love. You are my firm foundation, in whom I place my trust. I found heaven's when you told me my word, you alone give words of life. To whom else could I turn? It's all for nothing if it's not all for you, all for you. I'm merely existing if I'm not existing to worship you. 'Cause kingdoms fall, reigns will end, empires crumble and left in ruins. It's all for nothing if it's not all for you, Jesus. This life is a vapor, just a breath away. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust, we all return to clay. Let my life be a drink offering. Hold me out any way that you please. Without you, Jesus, it's all for nothing. It's all for nothing if it's not all for you, all for you. I'm merely existing if I'm not existing to worship you. 'Cause kingdoms fall, reigns will end, empires crumble and left in ruins. It's all for nothing if it's not all for you, Jesus.
That's such a beautiful song. I just love it. Every time Mark's on, we play it. I love it. All right. So we got like, I don't know, 9 inches of accumulation where we are. Producer Ron doesn't live very far from me, and neither of us lost power, thank goodness. And so our families were snowed in, iced in, however you want to say it. In fact, even out to the she shed today, I'm walking on top of the snow. It's like snow and ice and all that mixed in. And so it's so weird. And so it won't like squish down. I'm literally, Flashmore and I are walking on top of it. And so it's very weird. But anyways, and so we've had a lot of ice, a lot of snow, and there's been a lot of destruction. I've got a lot of friends that are in hotels right now. Take a look. Producer Ron, you got the photos? So look at this. I was just in this area. It wasn't this last weekend, obviously, but the weekend before, the Saturday before. So you're talking about 9 days, 10 days ago. Look at that. All the trees down. This looks like a war-torn area. It's crazy. Trees down, electric lines down like crazy. Look what happened on the interstate, where the interstate sign fell on I-65, I believe it was, and it fell on top of a tractor trailer. You can see the tractor trailer there, but anyways, I think maybe some of this has made some national news, but I wanted to share this with you. The main highways and interstates now, I'm hearing, are good, and that they have improved dramatically very quickly. So big difference between yesterday and today, but the highs are like in the 20s. I know many of you got more than we got, and your lows are even lower than ours. So goodness gracious, y'all stay warm, stay safe. It's been crazy. And so, but my boys were snowed in, iced in with us yesterday. And so we didn't do a show yesterday. I called Mark and said, let's put it off a day. I want to spend time with my boys. And so I've been cooking and just spending time with my sons. When they get to a certain age, you know how it goes. They are busy, they work, they've got a lot of their own stuff kind of going on. And so they were home, and this mama wanted to take advantage of it. So we got to spend a couple of days together enjoying the weather. Okay, Lieutenant Mark Taylor is here today, by the way. But first, I want to tell you tomorrow, producer Ron has a documentary already picked out. It's called Invisible Threads: From Wireless to War. And then, of course, we'll be here Thursday. And then don't forget, Friday is Michelle Aganza, where we celebrate my birthday. My birthday is Saturday, but January the 30th, which is this Friday, we're going to be celebrating Michelle Aganza. So my family, they were all going out to dinner Saturday evening. And we're rearranging dinner reservations to be a little bit later so that then we can leave dinner and go to the new Melania movie. Y'all know there's a new movie coming out about, and it's apparently from her own like production company. And so this is the first movie, and it's about her. And so it'll be interesting, but it comes out, I guess, maybe Friday. I played the trailer for it a few weeks ago. And then Trump truthed about it yesterday. And so my family and I are going Saturday. I'm sure I'll be talking to you about it on Monday. Okay, so with all that said, let's go on ahead and bring Lieutenant Mark Taylor in. Very excited he's here today. I know he's got plenty to share. Hi, Mark. How you doing?
Oh, good. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, I'm glad you're here. All right, so let's start with this morning. So Melania Trump calls for peace amid the Minneapolis protests. Let's take a look.
We need to unify. I'm calling for unity. I know my husband, the president, had a great call yesterday with the governor and the mayor, and they're working together to make it peaceful and without riots. I'm against the violence, so if we protest in peace. And we need to unify in these times.
Okay, so she's calling for peace.
So I appreciate that. I really do. Unfortunately, there's no peace with these people, as you can very well tell what the feds are having to deal with right now, which is beyond the scope of the feds, by the way, which we have talked about many times on this program. This is beyond ICE, this is beyond the Border Patrol, this is beyond Homeland Security. This is a National Guard military issue. A lot of these protesters are not just paid agitators; they are MK Ultra'd. That's what people don't understand. They're running a program. You're going to have to round them up and give them deliverance, give them deprogramming if you want, or per se. But the problem is that what I have noticed in my experience here of watching this stuff play out, this, that, and the other, I've watched a lot of cop shootings, law enforcement involved shootings over the years with these riots and this, that, and the other. And I've noticed with these MK Ultra people, because they have to use trauma to program them, it takes trauma to break the programming. If you'll notice, when someone's sitting there screaming in someone's face on these videos, you'll see it all the time with a bullhorn, and they don't stop. It's like on repeat, like a cassette,
Yeah.
if you will. All of a sudden, somebody hauls off and pops them. They come to and they go, "Oh, what'd you do that for?" It's the same way when someone's shot. It's because they traumatized the victim to MK Ultra them. And what I'm seeing is that it takes trauma to break it, basically. So if you haul off and slap somebody, it will break the trauma, or it breaks the programming, if you will. I know that sounds weird, but from what I have witnessed, that's what I'm noticing a lot of times, because they come back to themselves once that trauma takes place. But there's no unifying with these people. There's no unifying with the Democrats. I appreciate what she's saying there. I really do. But there's no unifying with these guys. They've already made it very clear. The Democrats have made it clear that if they win the midterms, which if we don't deal with the electoral process, they're on track to steal it again if we're not careful. But if they win the midterms, they have made it very clear that people like us are going to get arrested. They're going to throw us in prison. So this is why it's even important. We are on a time clock right now, literally a stopwatch right now. Trump's been in office for 1 year. This mess is not cleaned up. The electoral process is not cleaned up. The illegals are not cleaned up. We haven't even scratched the surface with the illegals. If they hand the midterms to the Democrats, we are in trouble. Now, some people say, well, give Trump time. Give Trump time. I get people all the time. I had a lady lambaste me on Truth Social the other day. I'm not going to read the post, but the fact of the matter is, she said, well, you're dividing the movement. You're dividing this. You're divisive. No, we're holding the president accountable. There's a difference between attacking someone and holding someone accountable. But the mainstream popular, if you will, voice of opinion, what do you want to call it? They don't like accountability. The human nature does not like accountability. And when you hold someone accountable, they think you're attacking them. This is where we're at as a society. So it's people like that individual that attacked me that want to make an excuse for the president, because he is making a mistake, because he is losing the PR game right now. He is literally losing the public relations with his own patriots, because he has lost complete. He's just out of touch with what the Patriots want. Thank you. They're out of touch with what the Patriots truly want. And because someone holds this man accountable for what he spoke out of his own mouth that he campaigned on for many years, now all of a sudden you're being divisive, or you're attacking the president, or you're not giving him enough time. No, he said day one certain things were going to happen. Have those things taken place on day one? No, we're a year into this administration, 365 days into this administration, almost longer than that now. And the day one promises still have not been held to account.
Okay, so Mark, what would you say were the day one promises that haven't been held to account? Like, I know that it hasn't been delivered, that the Ukrainian war is still going on.
Ukrainian war was one. Epstein files is number two. And he's now saying that Epstein is a bunch of BS, which some say, again, here come the excuses. He's saying that, it's BS, or he's trying to gain time, whatever the case may be. The fact of the matter is, there were day one promises, just like Kash Patel made, that were never made on day one, still have not been made. The illegals have not been cleaned up. We have not given attention to detail. Again, we give credit where credit's due. The president has made some very good decisions on certain things. He's very good at protecting America from the outside sources, from Iran, China, Venezuela, 100%. Tariffs, I'm 100% on board with the tariffs. It's the fact that it's the enemy from within that has been a complete and total disaster in the Patriots' eyes, that they are calling for the arrest of certain individuals. And we're going to go into some of this as we get along in the show, like with Tim Walz, this, that, and the other. So we'll get along with some of this as we go along. We'll talk more about this as we go along.
Okay, so talking about some of his campaign promises, I've got a video for you to see, and I'm going to have you weigh in on. But first, I want to say, while we're watching that video, those that are on Rumble, that are chatting, and on YouTube Live, if you would please. So Mark says, what the people want haven't been delivered. What is your number one thing you want? And so if you put it in the chat, we're going to read some of those in a minute. I'd like to hear what people want, what the people want from Trump, what they want to see happen. So while that's going on, we're going to play this about Trump allowing the good illegals to stay in America. Listen to what he has to say.
Many countries opened up their prisons and dropped them into the United States. Those are the people who are getting out. And we have a lot of heart. They said, you got to lighten up on this. We have a lot of heart for people. They came in illegally, but they're good people, and they're working now on farms, and they're working in luncheonettes and hotels and all. And we're looking to get the criminals out right now, the criminals. And I think it's very important. I mean, every once in a while you see a story, we take somebody. He should be out because they came in illegally. So in theory, they should be. But we're focused on the murderers, the drug dealers, the mentally insane. We have a lot of mentally insane killers. I mean, you can't even talk to them. It'd be nice if you could have a little reason, but you can't even reason. These are seriously ill people. You have a couple of countries where they were loaded up. Their mental institutions and insane asylums were loaded to the gills. They couldn't get. They're empty now. But they're filling up because we're bringing them all back. We know where they came from. And every country accepts them. You know, under Biden, they wouldn't say, they had so little respect that they'd bring them there and they wouldn't take them. They say, get the hell out of here. They would be bringing a plane in to land in a country.
Okay.
So all you have to do is go to that social media right there and read the comments.
It's brutal.
You will see it is brutal. They are hammering the president over this because now again, perception is what people go by, and he's losing the public relations war on this is because he's given the perception. Now he's backtracking on this and leaving illegals in here, kind of like the 600,000 Chinese students he was going to allow in that he got hammered for. See, this is the garbage that people don't want. This is where he's out of touch and he's listening to the wrong people, which we're going to see one of those wrong people here in a minute.
Okay, so when you say the people, what we're talking about is the Trump supporters, the ones that are patriots, the ones that have the concern. Because look, we know there's some people that apparently want, rapists and murderers to stay in our country that are here illegally, by the way. I mean, it's complete insanity, but that is there. Okay, now let's take a look at what people are saying that they want. I asked before we watch that video for people to weigh in who are watching live through Rumble and through YouTube. If you're watching later, obviously, we're not going to see this during the show. But okay, so safety on American streets. We hear from YouTube here. So Sandy talks about that. We know what this means. Scott's saying the IRS, meaning we don't want to pay taxes. And so, but I gotta say, I saw something that grabbed my attention. Here it is. Jewish girl says in all caps, justice. Yeah, I think a lot of us want to see justice. A lot of us. Chemtrails to end. That's a good one.
Yep. And where do we think this storm came from, by the way?
You're right. Oh, for 2 days solid, producer Ron and I were talking about the skies and how horrific. They were the worst we had seen in months.
For the chemtrails?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a buddy of mine in Indianapolis was sending me chemtrail photos 2 days before it hit up there.
Yep.
So, I mean, and you just mentioned in the opening segment that you said it was weird how you walking on the snow just felt weird. That's because it's not real snow.
No, and it sparkles. It's weird.
Chemicals.
Yeah, it's awful. Of course, we want the chemtrails to go. We want to save the children. Darla says that's right, Darla Ann. Clean up our food, our skies, and our water. Yeah, the land, the air, the food, and the water, like the Holy Spirit said. That's right, S.S. Schaefer. And so that's right. KM Sunshine says, I want to see them arrest those elites like Hillary Clinton before he told her she'd go be in jail at their debate before the 2017 election. Now, some people, KM Sunshine, would say, oh, she's been arrested. She's already been, executed and all these stories. But the fact of the matter is we have no proof of that. We do not know that for certain. And until it's public, I say it doesn't count. You know what I mean?
Right. Until there's disclosure.
What'd you say?
Until there's disclosure, it doesn't count.
Yes. I mean, how can you do you not see like the insanity though of some of the stuff that grown adults say and that we're okay with that? Like we're supposed to be okay that, but they're just saying enjoy the show or, that's just an act or this person's an actor. And it's like, this is crazy. This is nutso stuff, in my opinion. We're all adults. And at some point, this is a little bit weird to me. I'm just saying, it's just weird. And and again, where is God in all this? Where is Yahweh in this? Because these are lies. We're living in lies and people are justifying it. Well, it's a war. Well, it's this. Well, it's that. They're lying. and you're
Yep.
okay with it, and you're I mean, how do you even know what you're being told and what you're thinking is even true? How do
Right.
we know this is even true? And
Right.
so time, year after year, because it's been years now, Mark, year after year after year, we're living in this, and we're wringing our hands, and we're hoping the IRS will go away. We're hoping that Hillary's
Right.
really dead. We're hoping. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Right. And see,
Um,
the where people like the lady that attacked me on True Social, this is where people like that are actually contributing to the president's behavior because they're not holding him accountable. You are flattering the man. And my point to people out there, stop giving this man flattery. Don't give any man flattery. Please don't give me flattery. I don't want it. Because biblically speaking, that is the worst thing you could do to a human being, especially someone who is in leadership. Now, there's a difference in supporting someone and in giving them flattery. What is flattery? Flattery is excessive and insincere praise given especially to further one's own interests. Why does the Bible specifically talk about flattery? Because it is a dangerous move, because every time you give someone flattery, you increase the pride, you increase the arrogance, you set that individual up for a fall. I tell people all the time, please do not give me flattery. I don't want it. I appreciate people who support me and give me an encouraging word. But it's like, oh, Brother Mark, you're just such a wonderful man of God. You do this. Stop, please. I don't want it. I don't want it because for a self-protection mechanism. And the problem that you see with the president, he surrounds himself with people that all they do is flatter him. We talked about this on the last show when they were sitting around the big table. Marco Rubio, Kirsty Num,
oh, yeah.
President, you've done such great things. We just love you so much. We love working for you. That's flattery. And it's got to stop at some point. People are going to have to wake up and start using wisdom and start saying, you know what, Mr. President, we're screwing up here. You're losing the public relations war with your own people here. Certain decisions need to be made. Certain things need to be done here. We need to get back to the America First agenda. Stop listening to Susie Wiles, the demon behind the people. Okay. And so we're going to show a picture of that here in a few minutes. But the point is, they're flattering this president, and it does nothing except for further his ego, which endangers him and sets him up for a fall. Every time someone makes an excuse, it's a form of flattery instead of holding accountability.
Okay. All right. I hear you. Okay. So let's look at a couple of more responses. So Clark Denise says, I would love to have common sense come back. Frias says, fix the election process and prosecute the parties responsible for corrupting the elections. Yeah. I think that's important. I want the people, our site 62 says, who are doing the fraud to be arrested, governors or whoever, get the criminal illegals out,
Yep.
especially the ones that have committed crimes, arrest corrupted politicians. Okay. All right. So there's a
Well,
lot.
I can give you my top three. I'll give you my
Okay.
top three right off the bat. Illegal
Okay.
immigration is number one. The streets
Okay.
have to be safe. They're not safe.
Mhm.
Number
Yeah.
two, it needs to be electoral process. If we lose the midterms, we're finished at this point. If we lose any more elections, we're finished at this point because every day they will be impeaching him every single day. Number three, get rid of the poison with the chemtrails, the weather manipulation, which all goes together with the food poisoning, poisoning our food, water, and our air. Those three
Yeah.
things right there. It has to be done. If he doesn't do it in the 3 years that he's in there, it's not going to get done, guys.
That's right. That's right. He's been in a year.
We're on a stopwatch. We're on
Yeah.
the clock. Literally, we're on the clock.
He's been in a year, and it's concerning. I'll
And
just
if
say
people don't start holding him accountable,
that.
this is going to continue. Again, we'll just go on with this. We'll talk more about this as we go along.
Well, I do want to say, look, have we learned nothing?
Right.
I thought that was the whole point, that in the last 10 years, we were supposed to be learning, 11 years, we're supposed to be learning not to just blindly trust, not to blindly trust.
That's what got us
anybody.
this mess to begin with, was listening to the wrong people or putting our blind, go to the voting booth, we vote, and we hand it over to the politicians, and that's it. That's all we did. We didn't get
Yeah.
involved. We didn't hold them accountable. And now all of a sudden Trump comes along. We have more people involved in the political process than we ever have been. And now you hold the man accountable. And all of a sudden you're divisive. You're anti-patriotic. You're anti-MAGA. You're anti-Trump. You don't support him. That's not the case. If I didn't care anything and I didn't love the president and his family, I wouldn't be sitting here trying to speak from God and issue correction from God at times that I have to, that I don't have a choice when God prophesies correction. I don't want to do that. Who does that? What prophetic voice issues correction now? Nobody. Zero.
That's
I'm
right.
probably one of the only ones on planet Earth that is issuing correction right now, and I'm the most hated prophetic voice on the planet because of it. And it's like, I don't like doing this, but God chose me to do it, and I'm going to do it. But if I didn't love the president and care about the president, I wouldn't issue correction, just like the Bible talks about.
I'm going to share something. So I want everybody to know too that I wasn't planning on sharing this, so it's taking me aback, but I'm feeling like I'm supposed to share it. Last week, Mark and I had a brief conversation, and he said, well, I'm ready to come back, on Monday if that works for you. And I said, of course, I haven't booked anybody without talking with you first. That's kind of held that position for you on Mondays. And I said, Mark, you're the only person the Holy Spirit has spoken to me about to have on this show. And so I don't know if people realize that, but I heard the Holy Spirit. I think I've shared this before, but if not, I want to make sure people know. So the Holy Spirit said, prepare the platform for Mark. He's coming. And so Mark and I talked for, Mark, was it almost a year before you were even on the show? Like I told nobody. And so Melissa Leggett knew, Jay knew, and producer Ron knew that you and I were talking, but we talked for quite a while, months. And so if not close to a year. And so, but during that time, the Holy Spirit said to me to prepare the platform. So if you go back and look, there were numerous times that we aired, I think 3, 4, 5 times even in less than a year where we aired the documentary that Mark and Melissa Leggett were in. And so that was part of the preparing of the platform so people would know who Mark Taylor was and who Melissa Leggett is and all of that. And so, but out of all the guests, all the things, now he has given me topics and different things, but I'm saying right now, I heard months before while we were still talking, prepare the platform, Mark is going to be coming. And so meaning on the show, and to prepare meaning, and I knew that meant prepare meaning get them familiar with who he is. And that's how we did it. And so, and I told Mark that last week. I said, well, I don't book anybody else without talking with you first on Mondays. Mark is always extremely humble. You all see it every week. He says, thanks for having me. Thank you for having me at the end. But he's the same man off the air. And I just want you to know, though, that I specifically heard the Holy Spirit about Mark Taylor being on this show specifically. And so I just want everybody to know that's how this came about. And it's just amazing to me. We're over 3 years, and the one person that he has specifically spoken to me about is Mark Taylor. So anyway, so I'm obedient. This is a part of my obedience, Mark, is having you on and supporting you. And so in allowing you to be able to share what you feel that God has given you to share. And so with that said, we have a 3-part. So there was a gentleman, he's a special forces warrant officer. He wrote a long post about what's going on in Minneapolis. And so, Mark, why don't you read it to us? Thank you, producer Ron.
Yeah. So, as a former special forces warrant officer with multiple rotations running counterinsurgency ops, both hunting insurgents and trying to separate them from the sympathetic populations, I've seen organized resistance up close, from Anbar to Helmand. The pattern is familiar: spotters, cutouts, dead drops, or modern equivalents, disciplined comms, role specialization, and a willingness to absorb casualties while bleeding the stronger force slowly. Now, he's talking about his overseas deployments. What's unfolding in Minneapolis right now isn't protest. It's a low-level insurgency infrastructure built by people who clearly studied the playbook. Signal groups at 1,000 member per cap zone, dedicated rules, mobile chasers, plate checkers, logging vehicle data into shared databases, 24/7 dispatch nodes, vectoring assets, salute-style reporting, size, activity, location, unit, and time and equipment on suspected federal vehicles, daily chat rotations, and time deletions to frustrate forensic recovery, vetting processes for new joiners, mutual aid from sympathetic locals, teachers providing cover, possible PD tip-offs on license plate lookups, home base coordination points. There's a lot here, guys. rapid escalation from observation to physical obstruction or worse. This isn't spontaneous outrage. This is C2 command and control with redundancy. OPSEC hygiene and task organization that would make Special Forces Team Sergeant nod in recognition. Replace ICE agents with occupying coalition forces, and the structure maps almost one-to-one to early-stage urban cells we have hunted in the mid-2000s. The most sobering part, it's domestic and directed by people who live in the same country they are trying to paralyze law enforcement in. When your own citizens build and operate this level of parallel intelligence and rapid response network against federal officers, complete with doxing, vehicle pursuits, and harassment that's already turned lethal, you're no longer dealing with civil disobedience. You're facing a distributed resistance that's learned the lessons of successful insurgencies. Stay below the kinetic threshold most of the time, force overreaction, when possible. Maintain popular support through narrative and never present a single center of gravity. I spent years training partner forces to dismantle exactly this kind of apparatus. Now pieces of it are standing up in American cities, enabled by elements of local government and civil society. They should keep every thinking American. That should keep every thinking American awake at night. Not because I want escalation, but because history shows that these things don't de-escalate on their own once the infrastructure exists and the cadre believe they're winning the information war. I just spoke about that a second ago. We either recognize what we're actually looking at, or we pretend it's still just activism until the structures harden and spread. Your call, America, but from where I sit, this isn't January 2026 politics anymore. It's phase one of something we've spent decades trying to keep off our own soil. What have I been saying about the president is very good at dealing with outside enemies. It's the enemy from within that we are having a hard time getting control of, and he's not focusing enough. What this man is right here, this man's credentials right there should tell everybody right there what's going on. This is more than what we're just dealing with. This is beyond the scope of ICE, the Border Patrol, and Homeland Security. This is what we just heard Trump talking about, how he just wants to get the criminals out of here first. Well, is that good enough right now at this point? Well, we're going to find out, because, again, the clock is ticking, and I have put the prophetic warning out that if we wait too long, the patriots are going to get involved, and people are getting antsy. They're getting impatient. They're getting sick and tired of it, and they want action. They're tired of the talk. They want action. We have to get 1 million illegals a month out of here for the rest of the 3 years in order to get the 50 million out of here. We're not even scratching the surface. How many we're getting out of here? Maybe, I don't know, 5,000? I don't know. What was Jake Carroll? I can't remember the numbers J.J. Carroll had put up when we played him on the show a few months back. So it's ridiculous of how little we're actually getting out of here right now, because they're getting overrun. We talked about this on the last program. Feds are getting overrun. Local law enforcement is not cooperating. So there's a whole lot of things that are taking place right now that people just don't realize are happening behind the scenes.
Good point. When I saw President Trump talking about the good illegals being able to stay here in America, I wondered if that was part of the reason why, because it's almost impossible to get them all out.
Well, here's the problem. If you make concessions for one group, you're going to have to make concessions for another, because you're going to have them popping up going, well, you left these guys in here because they worked for a hotel or out here in the fields picking fruit or whatever the case may be, because most of the time the American population don't want to do those jobs, which is why it gets handed to some of these third world countries. But this is where America is lazy. This is where they're apathetic. And if you want a job, there's plenty of jobs to be had. But the problem is you can't make concessions for one group. If he's going to keep these people in here, which means he's going to be keeping millions in here, if that's the case. Because everybody's going to claim, well, I got a job at the hotel. I got a job over here at this farm. How come I can't stay? See, this is where it opens the door for a huge mess.
Now, when I speak with Steve Jarvis talks about this. Obviously he's a 5th generation farmer. And what he says is there are needs, genuine, real needs, that it's just not a good idea to keep all of the illegals out of the country, because there are people that just will not do the job. Right. And so it's a problem for farmers, because they need the hands on the farm at certain times, harvest time, planting, all of that, working the land. And so he has said from the beginning, he's like, this just isn't, to say that everybody has to go, he says, just isn't reasonable. And that's from a farmer's perspective. So It's interesting.
So why not take those people and make them legal? Why aren't they going through the legal process of becoming an American citizen? There's plenty of people who are American citizens that were illegal at one time that are probably American citizens that would be willing to do the job. They're out there. You just got to find them. But see,
Well, I don't.
here's the other thing. If you take, let's just say, we'll just throw a number out. Let's say we got 5 million of those workers that are inside the country and they want to stay. Well, there's 5 million now we have to put through the process of making them legal. There's no really good answer to any of this. All of them need to go until we get control of American soil, because right now, what you just heard from that special forces guy, Trump has zero control over America. I have said this in the last program, zero control domestically over what's going on the streets right now. He has got to get control of it. If he doesn't, we're in trouble in the midterms. If he doesn't get the prices of food down, he doesn't get control of the streets, if he doesn't start getting rid of some of these people.
Well, the thing that surprises me the most, Mark, now I know you've had work with, some of the worst streets in Orlando you've had to deal with. And so you've seen a lot of the way that things really are in the real world. But I have to say, I'm pretty surprised at how many people are fighting this about getting rid of the illegals, and how many people are really making a big stink. Obviously, I think a lot of them are paid. We've talked about that. But I'm just saying, this seems insane to me, that there are so many Americans that are fighting this situation. But I'm with you. I absolutely think that most of them are MK Ultra, Antifa, whatever. It's they're brainwashed in the colleges, and who knows.
Here's what I would propose. Get the illegals out of here. I don't care if they work on a farm or hotel. I don't care who they are. Keep the Chinese students out of here right now. Get them all out of here. Let's clean up our own country first. Then if you want to receive some people in here and make them natural citizens, then we can deal with it at that point. But right now, we have the Islamization of America going on. We have the illegals going on. We have all these things that are out of control right now. It's almost like we've got this out of control brush fire going on right now, and nobody's putting any water on it.
Oh, I know, it's crazy.
Nobody's fighting it.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about a couple of different headlines that we saw over the weekend and things that have kind of evolved over the last week even. So the first thing is, Trump goes off, demands that Walz and Fry and every Democratic governor and mayor should be cooperating with the federal government and ICE and whomever. And so there's a news article for that. And producer Ron, if you would please bring it up. And so, so let's see, that's
a different one.
That's not it. It's about Trump going off about and demands that Walz and Fry and every Democratic governor and leader, really mayor, governor. Thank you. So to cooperate with the federal government. It says President Trump on Sunday issued a blistering statement and list of demands for local Democratic leaders, namely, of course, the Minnesota governor and so on. So, and the mayor, I'm sure. So that happens. Okay. So makes sense. The ICE has come into town and, the government. Okay. Then so things continue. It gets heated up throughout the week. Walz says, they have supposedly Tim Walz and President Trump have a conversation yesterday. And Tim Walz is now saying that Trump has agreed to look into reducing the number of federal agents in Minnesota. And so what's up with that?
I have no clue. And so, we've got a couple other articles where the Border Patrol has now pulled out. Or pulling out, it was Bovino, I think, was pulling out.
Yes. So Bovino is to leave Minnesota, and then Tom Homan's coming in. Tom Homan's supposed to meet today with Tim Walz. And so what happened with Bovino?
I have no clue. And this is the part that's kind of throwing me a little bit here. It's like, okay, look, why are we making deals with Tim Walz to begin with? Of all people. We know the fraud's there. We know who this guy is. This guy's a demon from the pits of hell, and which we have proof of that coming up. And so why is he not being perp walked in handcuffs? Why are there deals being made? This is the part where he's losing the public relations war with the people again. This is not what we asked for. We didn't ask for deals. We want them perp walked. We want these people going to prison. If they've committed treason, then it needs to be the death penalty.
Yeah. And so... But again, we're in another investigation.
I
So this
guess.
goes back to what the people are asking for, which is
Right.
justice. So we got Walls is just
Right.
another politician who's
Yep.
knee deep in all of the corruption, and yet he's still walking around, he's still talking, he's still in his position, and we're all going, when are we going to see somebody in handcuffs?
Right.
You know, and
And
so
why
this
are
is
we
important.
why are we even still dealing with the protesters? Where's the water cannons?
Yeah, I like that
Make
idea.
water cannons great again.
All right. So we have three different news stories we want to show you that have to do with the craziness with stuff going on. Producer Ron, yep. So the first one is anti-ICE leftists seize the Minneapolis St. Paul airport. Agitators claim more than 100 clergy members were among those arrested.
Yeah.
Clergy members?
Yeah.
Explain that.
Okay. So here's where it's going to get really interesting, guys. You got to remember, these anti-leftist, ICE leftist people are part of the system. So is the clergy. How many years have I been screaming the 501c3 is part of the Baal Babylonian system? They don't have a choice. They're being told what to do. They're getting their 4 a.m. talking points, just like these agitators
Media.
are. Just like the agitators are. They get the 4 a.m. talking points. They show up to a location. They don't have a choice. They're 501c3. They're part of the Baal Babylonian system. They have to protect the system. The system wants the illegals here. They want the corrupt electoral process. They want open borders. That is part of the system, and the churches are a part of it. This is what God has been warning about for years and years through the 501c3. This is what you're linked to under a 501c3 right here.
Okay, before we move on to the next story, you know what this makes me think of? As soon as I saw it, I thought about it. The clergy response team. I know there are plenty of people that are watching right now that probably are going, Michelle, what's the clergy response team? Mark, I'm going to hand it over to you.
The FEMA clergy response team, which I think they disbanded, it's now under NVOAD, NVOAD, I think is the correct acronym, because they knew they got outed as a clergy response team, was a group of thousands, tens of thousands of pastors across the United States that were part of FEMA, that when you had a natural disaster, or in terms of right here, riots, they would activate the clergy response team. Good pull, by the way, because I think you're absolutely right on this. And so the point is that they are to drag you and your family away when it comes time to drag you out, drag you to a site, basically a holding facility, away from your family, separate you, and they are to console you and get you to drop your Second Amendment rights in the process of all of this. That's just long story short. That's all that is, because we don't have a lot of time to mess with this. You can go look it up, pull it up online. FEMA clergy response team.
I'm looking real quick to see if I have it on michellemooreshow.com. There was a clergy response team training manual, which by the way happened to be 33 pages long. The clergy response was filled. There was a whistleblower. That's how it all came out. But the clergy response team had a training manual, and they were really the clergymen that were going to talk their congregations into giving up their guns. Yep. And so clergy response team training manual, there it is. It is on michellemooreshow.com. It's go down quite a bit, but you'll see it.
And they document on their congregation who you are, how many family members. They're taking all the personal information you have, handing it over to the federal government. And then when it comes time for the roundup, they take you and your family. They come to your house with the feds and get you to give up your guns, take you and your family to where the holding facility is, and they will separate you and console you but for benefits, by the way. They will get food, shelter, clothing, and they won't have to get rounded up. So they're actually treasonous, scumbag, traitor clergy is what they are.
But they had a whistleblower, somebody that was in the group, ended up going public. And all of this used to be online.
That was in 06, by the way.
Yes.
That was all the way back to 06.
Wow.
2006.
Okay, didn't know it went that far back.
Yep.
Okay, wow. Yep. And so the clergy response team, I'm going to tell you, it took like a year for me to find the training manual. It got scrubbed during the whole slowing of the spread. Yep. And so at first it was easy to find it, and I would, search for it and everything. And the story on the gentleman who was the whistleblower with the whole program and talked about it. But then when I went back to get it, and it was gone. So it took me about a year of hours of searching. And as soon as I laid my hands on it, I ended up downloading it, and I've got it. And then I put it on michellemooreshow.com for everybody. So it's on there, clergy response team's training manual. So you can see for yourself what they were teaching people.
And you're probably absolutely correct. That is they have probably activated the clergy response team up there. And that's why these guys are doing this right here. Okay. I didn't even think about that. So that's a good pull.
Yeah, that makes sense, Mark. That makes sense. Okay, the next story, producer Ron. All right, so federal officers attacked and tackled by violent Minneapolis rioters. And
Okay,
so, in a shocking video from the ongoing riots in Minneapolis, protesters are seen violently attacking and tackling federal officers.
guys, goes back to my point. This is like piecemealing this whole thing with the illegal immigration. What Trump's doing. This has been a complete and total disaster as far as I'm concerned. This is like piecemealing this. These guys are getting run out of certain areas, geographical areas. It is beyond, this is the point. This is beyond local law enforcement. This is beyond the Border Patrol. This is beyond ICE, which ICE is only 6,000 strong anyway. And so most of those are admin. So they've only got like about 1,500 according to J.J. Carroll on the street. So ICE is nothing more than a distraction. Notice everything across the country, the headlines are ICE, ICE, ICE.
Yeah.
It's because, now there could be some stuff going on behind the scenes. I don't know. Who knows? But the point is, these guys are getting their butts handed to them. And they shouldn't. Look, when you're in a crowd, I've been in too many riots, so I understand this stuff like this is going to happen from time to time. You're going to get guys knocked down. You're going to get guys injured. I mean, it's a massive fight, literally, physical fight. So when you see this, but you're seeing video after video after video where these guys are retreating. There should be no retreat. This is the problem. And then you've got a 90-pound Barbie doll on Fox News, who's the head of Homeland Security, one of the largest law enforcement agencies in the nation, she has zero law enforcement experience, but yet she's up there now. Like she's really, I mean, this is just, I don't even understand why Trump has picked some of these people. He's got too many women up there instead of warriors up there. Now Tom Homan's going up there. We'll see what happens with Tom. We'll see, give him the benefit of the doubt, give him a chance to go up there, see if he can straighten some things out. But this is not looking good for the president.
All right.
In front of his people.
While you're talking about Pam Bondi, because that's who you'd be talking about, the blonde Barbie. So let's take a look.
Christy Nome was the other Barbie I was referring to, Homeland Security. But yes, the other blonde Barbie is Pam Bondi. What's the difference? Okay. They're both got their Fox News moments. So,
okay. So Christy's a brunette, though. That's why I thought you were talking about Pam. So, okay. So Pam Bondi, let's talk about her background. It looks bad, y'all. Actually, let's finish this. We had a third part to this, and I want to do that real quick. Producer Ron, will you show us? Okay. So insurrection, leftists barricade themselves in San Diego. So now we're talking about California. Mayor's office demand ICE be booted from the city. What in the world? 6 unhinged leftists barricaded themselves inside the office of the mayor, San Diego mayor, on Friday, demanding that immigration, let's see, so, be removed. And so it's insane. So
look, you can't blame Trump for every single thing across the country. I get that. A lot of this is local law enforcement because you're dealing with sanctuary cities, sanctuary states, whatever the case is. This is why they need to get rid of them on a federal level. They need to get rid of the sanctuary cities and on a federal level.
Well, he's defunding those.
He's defunding them, but again, you're still dealing with the leftovers of the DEI, of the liberal mindset, of the vaccines. Operation Warp Speed, guys, killed this country. I'm just telling you, because you've got people in place who took the vaccines and all these Democrat cities who are these hardcore leftists, lunatics, and that's what's running him. And this is what he's up against right now. Look, I'm sick and tired. I know everybody else is sick and tired of hearing about what Obama did to this country and what Biden did to this country. They're not in office anymore. This is the bottom line. They're not in office. It's not their problem anymore. This is President Trump's problem. He has got to deal with it. He looks great on the world stage, on foreign soil, dealing with those issues. It looks pathetic what we're doing here on domestically right now. That's why everyone's so upset. I'm going to go over this 100 times. People get mad at me all they want to. Okay.
All right. Very interesting. Okay. So let's go on ahead. And I do want to say we've got, there was a photo, an image that we have, Minneapolis National Guard deployed to a federal facility to distribute snacks. Yes, snacks. National Guard, coffee and hot chocolate to anti-ICE mob. And they were told, this is what really gets me, told not to wear, told to wear their vests so that they would not be mistaken for federal agents.
Yeah. So why were they doing that to begin with? Why didn't they disregard that order, quite honestly? Because to me, that's an unconstitutional order because you are aiding the enemy.
Uh-huh.
You are aiding the enemy, guys. This is where, why didn't Trump federalize the National Guard in Minnesota? Have them go in there and clean it up. He could have done it like that.
Yeah.
So here we go again.
Okay. The next thing I want to show you is this J.J. Carroll video. He's talking about the swamp. Now, we're going to still come back to walls, but I want to set it up with this. So, Mark, so we're going to talk about J.J. Carroll first real quick. Let everybody hear what he has to say about our government being inundated with traitors. Let's listen.
Because our government is inundated with traitors. And we are also inundated with people that are illegal aliens inside of our government. And I'm giving you a perfect example. I wrote about this in a book. I've talked about this. I went and testified in Congress, which I'll never do again because it's a complete waste of my time. They're never going to. It was on child sex trafficking, and I was an expert witness. I gave my testimony, and then I'm opened myself up to questions. And a congresswoman by the name of Delia Ramirez from Illinois sits in front. She's on a dais. They have them sit up there, and you can't talk. You have to hit a button to talk, and if it's not green, you can't talk. And they get 5 minutes. She spent 4 minutes of her 5 minutes just slandering me. I'm a white nationalist. I'm a bigot, xenophobe, racist, blah, blah, blah. I shouldn't be there because I don't have any expertise on the border and child sex trafficking. And then I'm sitting there and I can't talk. She pulls up an X post. It's not my X post, but she makes it as if my X post with a noose in it. You know, making the noose connection between a white man and a noose. He's a racist and wants to kill people that are not white. Then she gets very emotional. And I get very interested because I did this for a living. I'm sitting there watching someone get very emotional, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, let's listen carefully what she's going to say because she's going to start to make mistakes. Because when people get emotional, they say their words come out faster than their brain is able to stop it. Like, okay, I should not, I want to go there, but I can't go there. She doesn't. She goes there. And what does she say? She begins to talk about women being raped on the border. And she says, I don't ever want to have to discuss this horrible thing again because my mother was raped on the border crossing from Guatemala into America when she was pregnant with me. The sitting Congressman Ramirez just admitted that she's an illegal alien. Her mother came into America illegally and had a baby. You can talk to me about birthright citizenship all you want. That's a lie. She's an illegal alien. And I'm looking at the dais. I'm looking at all the pasty white guys and the Republicans that are morons. Morons. They have no idea. What are they doing there? They don't even know what the hell they're talking. They don't even know what questions to ask. Then I'm looking at the Democrats, and I'm looking back and forth going, is anyone going to say it out loud? Is anyone going to say that we have Miss Ramirez is an illegal alien from Guatemala? We have illegal aliens in Guatemala, from Guatemala, chastising a patriotic Border Patrol veteran that's telling you about child sex trafficking and are being lectured by a illegal alien. I'm living in the Twilight Zone. I do research for my book because I talk about a whole chapter on me doing the congressional testimony. Dalia Ramirez is married to an illegal alien. She's married to a criminal. Her family members the majority are all illegal aliens. I did a cursory search through DHS. I can't find her that she's a naturalized citizen. She never naturalized. Thus, she's an illegal alien. This is happening throughout our government.
Okay, he said it's happening throughout the government. I mean, I think about this when I listen, and I think, man, the swamp, it runs deep.
Yep. So he's got a mess on his hands right now, and the problem is with the way people are thinking right now. He's too focused on foreign policy versus domestic issues right now, and people voted him in to handle the domestic issues. Now, don't get me wrong. Venezuela needed to be done. Certain things needed to be done to get control of things, because that's where you're going to find out where the cartels are coming from, where the electoral process is coming from, cheating is coming from through Venezuela, Smartmatic, all that kind of stuff. So all of that's going to lead to this. So certain things needed to be done, which I'm fine with. And I think a lot of America is fine with. But it's when you start seeing the Gaza stuff, when you start seeing all of these things come up where, we're seeing America burn. And look, when he walks into a sports game to get his ego fed for hearing people chanting Trump or USA, USA, and America's burning, people are looking at that like, what is the difference between that and Biden walking into an ice cream shop while America burns with George Floyd? You see my point? So
Yes,
there's a point there where people are questioning, Mr. President, what are you doing here? Why aren't we putting boots on the ground and handling this mess and getting so that we can walk down the street and go to the grocery store so that we can go get gas without getting mugged or, you know what I mean? Whatever the case may be. So the streets are not safe. He has no control over the streets right now in America right now. The illegal aliens and the protesters have it.
Okay. Ooh, a lot going on with that. I want to take a look. This is what really floors me too, by the way. So a bill to ban guns. Look at what's going on in Virginia.
Yeah.
So it says today a bill to ban assault weapons was voted out of committee in the Virginia Senate. And it essentially makes gun ownership illegal in the Commonwealth. Its author is State Senator Saddam Salim, who was born in where? Bangladesh. In Virginia's code, an assault weapon is defined as any semi-automatic center-fire rifle or pistol that expels single or multiple projectiles. I would not have thought single would have been included there. The bill makes it a Class 1 misdemeanor to possess or sell an assault weapon under this definition, as well as any magazine that holds over 10 rounds. Most firearms fits under this definition. I'm going to repeat that. Most firearms fit under this definition. If signed into law, it would turn millions of law-abiding gun owners in Virginia into felons with the stroke of a pen. Let's take a look at there you go. If signed into law, there you go. Yep, that's him. Born in Bangladesh.
So here we go. Virginia's been out of control for many years. And I don't know why. I think it's because of the Democrats up there cheating in the elections once again. So here you have entire cities, you have entire states that are being completely controlled through the electoral process because you have people in power that aren't supposed to be there. I've been saying this for years, even in Congress. Look, 80% of these guys that are in Congress aren't even supposed to be there. They cheated their way in through a fraudulent electoral process. So why are we even listening to these guys? Why aren't these people being kicked out of office? Trump keeps saying, we have it all. Nobody could have caught him except for me. We have it all. If that's the case, why aren't they being expelled from office? Why isn't the proof being brought to the people? I'm tired of hearing it. The time clock has run out as far as excuses. I'm tired of hearing excuses. The fact of the matter is we want accountability as the American people. We want people in jail. We want people held accountable so that we can put the right people who are supposed to be there in leadership, not these fraudulent individuals that are there right now.
Well, but it's very concerning when we're looking at an entire state practically getting guns banned if this passes with the stroke of a pen. What in the world is going on?
Well, you go back to the Clintons when they instituted the assault weapons ban. Even Bill Clinton's on the record saying the biggest mistake of my career was allowing the assault weapons ban because it cost them in the midterms. So these Democrats that think that they're going to do that up there, it's not going to go well for them. It really isn't.
Good point. All right. So I want to go back though to, you said, well, Tim Walz, no good. We've got some proof. We're going to talk about that now. So I guess it's been, I don't know, couple of months ago since we played this video, but let's play it again, producer Ron, about what exactly the special plaque from the Democratic Coalition of Satan Worshipers is being displayed at the Minneapolis State Capitol. Thanking who? Tim Walz. Let's take a listen.
This is Representative Pam Altendorf coming live at you from the Minnesota State Capitol. I am on the ground floor, and as I was leaving my committee meeting today here earlier, I noticed that there is a new display here at the State Capitol, and it's for Governor Walz. It's right here on display. So let me see. I mean, I guess I can't flip my phone, but I'll see if I can show it to you. So this is what we have here, everyone. Let me read it to you. The Democratic coalition of Satan worshipers thanks Governor Tim Walz for not standing in the way of spreading Satanism in the state capitol building. Satan has a special place for you. That's right, everyone. So the Democratic Coalition of Satan Worshipers, they have given some sort of plaque here to Governor Tim Walz. So let me be the first, I guess, to congratulate Governor Tim Walz for this very special award that has come from the Satan worshipers here in the Minnesota State Capitol. Yes, everyone, this is true. I am live, not making this up. You can't make this up. I don't know what else to say. I would think if you're Governor Tim Walz, you could choose not to have up this plaque. I don't know why a governor of a state would want this plaque, but there it is. Let me show you. Here we are, live at the state capitol, and the Satan worshipers have thanked Governor Tim Walz. And let me repeat this. The last line says, Satan has a special place for you. I'm speechless.
All right, producer Ron, let's take a look at it too. We have a photo for that. So there it is.
So Satan has a special place for Tim Walz. I can guarantee you he does. Because look, if you want to know why the chaos is always in Minneapolis or in Minnesota right now, it's because of this very thing right here. From a spiritual standpoint, this is what Satan wants, is the chaos. He wants the blood. He wants the blood of the innocent. This is the Baal worship, guys. Baal is a violent entity. When you see chaos like this, Baal's behind it for the most part. When you see war, Baal's behind it. He's abortion. It's Baal, because it is he is a very violent entity, and he feeds off the blood of the innocent. This is what he wants. So when you have someone who is a Baal Satan worshiper here, and this is displayed in your state capitol, this is the end result. Where were the George Floyd riots started? All of this stuff started Minneapolis, right? So, or St. Paul. It doesn't matter. This is a representation of the state, unfortunately. Now, we're not saying all of Minnesota. I have family up there. Is like that, because there's a lot of good conservative Christian people in Minnesota. So, but the point is, where is the church? Why aren't they fighting this? Why is it someone going in there and removing this and demanding that it be removed? Because until that's removed, this chaos is going to continue in Minnesota.
Well, now wait a minute. Now we know where the church is at. They're at the airport.
True. They're in protesting. I forgot about that.
Yeah, they're seizing the airport, sweetheart, with all the leftist crazies.
Yep.
You know exactly where they're at.
Yep. And look, let me go back to the assault weapons ban here real quick, guys. Look, I know there's a lot of NRA members out there. I'm probably going to catch a lot of garbage for this, but Firearms Policy Coalition is one, and Gun Owners of America is another, that are truly fighting this stuff on a legal aspect. The NRA, to me, is worthless at this point. That's just my opinion, even though I'm still a member. When it came to the pistol brace ban, NRA did nothing. They were nowhere to be found until later on. They caught so much heat that they finally got involved. It was the Firearms Policy Coalition and Gun Owners of America that took the fight to the enemy. So those two organizations right there, I'll give them a shout out. If you guys in Virginia are listening, look those guys up. Firearms Policy Coalition and Gun Owners of America. They're probably will have your back as far as legal is concerned, and fighting that assault weapons ban.
Grammy says Virginia is becoming the new California. They've been terrible. I mean, they just have had so much cheating and corruption.
There's a lot of California infiltrating all through the United States. This is an infiltration of a magnitude we've never seen in our lifetimes. So this, again, this California influence is what we're talking about here, whether it's electoral process, whether it's liberalism, whether it's a messed up mindset, whatever the case may be. And then not everybody in California is that way. It's not what we're saying, but it's the politics of California we're talking about here that has infiltrated everything through the fraudulent electoral process. This electoral process is bigger than most people realize, because this is what's driving America into liberalism. This is what's allowing the Islamization. This is what's allowing the illegal immigration. This is what's allowing all this chaos in America right now, is the electoral process. So this is why we're on a stopwatch. We're on a time crunch.
I think California's conservative. I think they're just lying and stealing.
They went red years ago. California
Mhm.
is red. I believe
Yeah.
I've been saying that for years. It's red. They
That's right.
cheated their way into
That's right.
there.
You have. That's right. Yeah, lying, cheating, and stealing. That's what I believe. There's no way. I mean, and we have a lot of viewers that are from California.
Yeah.
But I know what you're talking about. The crazies, a lot of the crazies moved out, and they moved to Tennessee too, Nashville. There are so many Nashvillians talking about how they want Nashville back. Ever since the whole slowing the spread, so many people moved here. Mark,
COVID devastated the red
completely
states.
crazy. It's crazy.
COVID devastated the
It's
red states, because especially Florida. I mean, somebody told me the other day, I can't remember. I have to look it up. Like, we got 30 million people in the state now. I mean,
Oh.
Florida's. I'll say what that one senator
wow.
was saying about Guam. This place is going to break off and float away if we're not careful, because there's so many people here.
Okay, so I want to say this. Christ believer says, when a leader opens the door to Satan, everyone suffers.
That's all right.
That's
right.
it. That's it. As the head goes, so does the body. And what you've got is a governor over a state. And so that governorship is over that state, and they are going to suffer. The people of that state will suffer.
Can I say something here real quick?
Absolutely.
This is why it's more important than ever for that man to be hauled off in handcuffs and arrested. Do you understand the spiritual implications of that, folks? For this man to be arresting, you're arresting the demonic behind it, and you're escorting it to prison, literally to the abyss. So until Trump does this, this is what makes me so angry with Trump right now. We're allowing the spiritual to literally gain a beachhead, a foothold. They've had a foothold up there with this guy. When you arrest someone, you are literally arresting that spirit. You got to remember what happens first. Then it comes down to the natural. So
that's right. You said it always manifests in the natural. 1, 2, 3, Mookie 3321 says, we, California, are conservative here. I know. I got you, Mookie. I got you. And you know what? And Mark, I forgot. That's right. You have been saying for years that California really was red.
Yep.
And that the election was stolen. You were saying it before anybody else was saying it. I remember specifically. And so I know we have been talking about them being red. And so we know. It's the lying, cheating, and the stealing.
The Lord spoke to me about Obama's second term. He didn't. Lord was still back then, before I was even on the scene. He said they stole that election. And when I was telling people that, they looked at me like I had a third eye.
Yeah.
And of course, when I tell people, when I finally came on the scene, I was telling people, like, well, yeah, okay, whatever. You know, I'll get attacked for it, you know, this, that, and the other. And now all of a sudden, here we are with the electoral frauds all over every headline. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's so good. Viewer 77 says Trump is shaking hands with the enemy. I think the thing is, there needs to be justice. Have we had a single arrest? One.
Have we?
Have we? Other than Modera, I'm talking about here in the United States, though.
And they were caught with him with pictures with him with the thumbs up.
Yeah.
With their hands on him, like they were taking, like they were good buddies.
I'm smelling skunk with all this, and we've got to see some arrests. We've got to see some accountability. We've got to see. I like the J word, justice.
Justice.
So justice. Okay, let's talk about Pam Bondi. So this has come out. You know, we talked about Pam Bondi, and what's the other lady's name? I can never remember her name. The one that
Susie
Wiles.
Susie Wiles. Susie Wiles.
And so,
what's the difference? They're all the same.
Well, we talked about Susie Wiles a few months ago and her background, and said Pam Bondi's got a suspicious background as well. So here we go. So Wall Street Mab says Pam Bondi was an attorney for Pfizer. They paid her over $200,000. We'll listen to the video that comes with this, and it will give you a little bit more details. Let's take a listen.
Well, it appears Pam Bondi was paid off by Pfizer. From the years 2021 to 2025, Pam Bondi reported $203,000 in income through a law firm called Panza, Maurer, and Maynard. And the client that Pam Bondi listed that she represented when she was part of that law firm was Pfizer. Now, fast forward to Bondi's term as Attorney General, and just days into her term, after she'd been sworn in office, she canceled 3 enforcement actions against Pfizer. They had been under investigation for corrupt business practices in Mexico and in China. They were going to face justice and accountability until Pam Bondi canceled those actions. Do you think it's a coincidence that Pam Bondi canceled those enforcement actions against Pfizer after having pocketed almost $250,000 through this law firm with whom she listed as her only client, Pfizer?
No
Unbelievable.
accountability.
No
No
accountability.
accountability.
None. Zero. But Trump will sit
Mhm.
there and stick up for her. And then just like Kristi Noem, I saw in the comments somebody was talking about how they thought Kristi Noem was fired. She wasn't
Yeah.
fired. Trump
No.
came out and gave a statement sticking up for her, saying she was doing a great job.
Mm.
See, here we go again with the games. So
Mhm.
you know,
Okay. Okay. This is horrible. I just want, well, let's go on ahead and do, we've got a video about how there are 400 Medicaid businesses that were started from one building. Let's take a look.
Behind me is the Griggs Midway building. It looks like a factory because it was a factory, a linen factory. They made cloth back there, converted to an office building. You'll notice all those little signs there, and there's tons of little businesses inside. Roughly 400 Medicaid businesses were started in the building behind me over the last several years. They generated about $380 million of billing that you, the taxpayer, were putting up. That means roughly each business had $1 million of billing. It's an industrial area. There's no reason that you'd have a mother bring her child. You can't imagine getting extra business support. An autistic child probably wouldn't want to come here. You hear the noise. It's just not a hospitable place. The question is, how is it possible 400 businesses billing almost $400 million were able to thrive here? What did the owner of the business, this building, think was happening inside? Why did no one in the state figure out this was a concern? And perplexingly to me, in a place of this nature, an industrial complex that people would not come to for childcare or autism care or transportation support, how is it possible this could come up like an abscess in the heart of Minneapolis and nobody was watching? I think it's because they weren't looking. They didn't want to know that this problem was happening here. And it's very concerning to me that only now, when there's more federal supervision, are people beginning to ask tough questions. So you'll notice there's already a watch group that's observing us. They have people in the cars taking pictures of us. They're calling around trying to find out what's going down. And I'll tell you, they don't have to, wonder. We're telling you, we're here to figure out why these folks are being defrauded, why the people who live in Minnesota aren't getting access to the care they deserve because it's been stolen. But the fact that you've got people behind me in cars concerned that we're even talking about this story should be something that worries you. It bothers me. There's been a censoring of truth, an inability just to own what's happening in their state. That's concerning to me. They talk about being nice in Minnesota. I want to be nice too, but a person who's a good person doesn't have to always be nice. They got to be truthful and be honest. And sometimes you got to tell people stories they don't want to hear. That's what doctors do. And that's what we're going to do here in Minnesota. Tell you the truth.
Telling the truth. Sounds familiar, Mark.
Yep.
Whether you want to hear it or not. Okay, so 400. I want to know who owns this building.
I don't know. I couldn't
There's
say
no
that's the
way.
first I'm hearing about it. So
There's no way they don't know.
Yeah.
There's no way that the owner of that building, I just don't see. You own a building like that, at some point you've walked through that building. At some point you had to have seen a red flag. I want to know the nationality of the owner of this building and their political affiliations and bloodlines. Okay, so because at this point I want to see bloodlines too. Okay, very interesting. So the next thing I want to talk about, when you were on last, I guess it was a week or so ago, last Monday, you remember how we showed the blonde who wanted to talk to Mr. President? You remember that?
Yep.
Okay, well, now we've got another video similar to this. It's a gentleman, and he's talking about immigrants and vets. So this is like the veterans. So let's take a listen.
Y'all let me know if I'm the crazy one here, because I can't wrap my brain around it. Save my life. We got people literally camping in the streets, crying, lighting candles, holding signs, getting arrested, doing the most for people who broke into this country illegally. But when it comes to American veterans sleeping under bridges, suddenly there's not even a thought. A man, a woman, because that's all the there is, can wear the uniform, deploy overseas, miss their kids growing up, come home broken, physically, mentally, spiritually, and the government goes, best we could do is a wait list and a pamphlet. But someone crosses the border illegally, housing, healthcare, here's food, legal protection, here's a debit card. Are y'all out of y'all minds? I don't want to hear you can care about both. Stop lying. If you cared about both, vets wouldn't be sleeping on sidewalks in the country they defended. Some of y'all act like vets are an inconvenience. And once the uniform comes off, apparently so does the give a. If you've ever screamed no human is illegal but walked past a homeless vet like he was invisible, you're not moral. You're a fraud. Cities are cutting checks for people who shouldn't even be here. hotel rooms, prepaid cards, free healthcare, translators, legal defense. Meanwhile, a veteran with PTSD has to prove he's broken enough to deserve a Nutri-Grain bar. You got illegals getting better benefits than the people who paid into the system their entire damn lives. Explain that to me slowly and use crayon if you have to. Y'all will shut down traffic for someone who hopped a fence, but won't block a single street for the Marine who hopped on a grenade and came home invisible. And you weird politicians love to say we don't have the money, but somehow there's always enough money for people who aren't citizens. That's not a lack of funds, that's a choice. You want open borders because it makes you feel virtuous, but you won't open your couch to a homeless vet. I bet that if you think America owes the world everything but owes its own nothing, you don't love this country, you love the image of yourself pretending to give a shit. Then you got influencers crying on camera for engagement, tears queued up like it's a audition. Look at me fighting for illegals. I'm such a good person. Where's that same energy for the veterans sleeping behind the Walmart dumpster? Oh wait, homeless veterans don't trend. They don't boost engagement. They don't fit into a 30-second reel with sad piano music. So instead, you post border clips, slap a hashtag on it, and collect views while doing absolutely nothing of substance. You'll call ICE evil from your air-conditioned ass apartment, but won't donate a jacket or a single minute to a vet shelter. That shit is monetized outrage. Fix our house first. Honor the people who built and defended it. Then we could talk about having guests over. Until that shit happens, don't talk to me about compassion.
Again, why aren't we taking care of our own?
Mm-hmm.
See, here we go again.
Okay, so here's where I'm a little bit, I'm noticing a little bit of a difference too. So I had a couple of videos that I pulled. Okay, Trump here, I think I even retweeted this last week. He's talking about no income tax. Let's take a look just in case anybody hasn't seen this. It sounds great.
That at some point in the not too distant future, you won't even have income tax to pay because the money we're taking in is so great, it's so enormous that you're not going to have income tax to pay.
That sounds great, Mark.
If and when it happens. I mean, let's look at the positive. He's speaking about it, which means at some point it's going to happen. This is a good thing. That is an America First thing that we have asked for as patriots. We'll give credit where credit is due. This is what we asked for. This is what we want. The tariffs obviously have to have time to kick in, which we're 100% on board with. So that would be reaping a reward from the tariffs right there, because money pouring into America would be paying for what the IRS was taking in. So that's a good thing. That is a good thing.
I want to ask you about something. So there are times where I feel like we are watching two different, and I hate to say this word, but timelines, two different timelines. And so it seems like you've got a Trump over here that I recognize that we voted for, we elected in 2016. Yeah. And then there are times where I'm like, who's this guy? You know, where's America First? What is going on here? I almost feel like I live in like, and it's almost day to day where I feel like there are two different things going on, where this guy is just everything I voted for in 2016. Right. And that looks like him, talks like him, amazing. And then there's this other side where I'm like, what is going on? So I'm sure you've got to know what I'm talking about. And I'm sure the viewers have to know what I'm talking about.
All right.
How do you reconcile that in your mind and what in reality of what is going on?
You know, this is where we have to keep things in perspective. I believe that all the prophetic words that God gave are going to come to pass at some point. I think there's going to have to be a wake-up process even for the president at some point. I've been saying that there's something else coming for him that's going to drive him to his knees in repentance, because his pride and arrogance is out of control. So I think until that point happens, maybe, I don't know. I don't know what that is. God has not shown me what that is. You know, it could be a family member. I don't know what it is. I don't have a clue. I don't want to speculate. But the point is that until that happens, guys, this is just, again, you've got the movie part of this thing where everybody's talking about this, and, you know, well, Q said this and the president said this. Look, the bottom line is that we're just gonna have to ride this out. We don't have a choice. And so when the midterms come along, we're gonna have to vote our way out of this. You know, I don't even know if voting our way out of this is the answer anymore, because again, you've got too many people in there that aren't supposed to be in there. So, I don't know.
And that's why, like, okay, even the stuff with the Charlie Kirk and Erica Kirk, of course, that's just a whole nother sideshow. But, you know, I said early on, I'm not going to spend a lot of time and effort and energy on all of that, because at the end of the day, we're never going to know this side of heaven what really happened, odds are. And now
Right.
every day it seems like there's another thing about her. And so, and it's just such it sucks your time. It feels so unproductive. It feels icky.
Well,
And
and
so,
let me put it. Maybe I can put it better this way. So we just heard a good statement from the president about the IRS, right?
yes.
It's almost like a breadcrumb to most folks right now. Here's a breadcrumb. We're going to get rid of the IRS, guys. This is what you guys wanted. Don't focus on Epstein. Here's the IRS. Don't focus on whatever abortion. Here's this. Don't focus on the illegals right now. Here's another breadcrumb for this. And it's almost like they're leading us with these breadcrumbs, and the goalpost keeps getting moved farther and farther and farther as far as the timeline is concerned. And this is where another reason where I think people are getting conflicted. They're getting angry, hurt, feeling betrayed, where the president's not paying attention to what the American public wants. So I think that's kind of where everyone's at as far as their mentality is concerned.
I had said something about to you about a week or so ago, and I said, I'm wondering if there really is like a good Trump or deep state Trump. And, they use that. I mean, look, if I was a deep state, I'd probably be using a deep state Trump just to confuse. And, we know who the author of confusion is. And so, that makes sense to me. I know that when I was at Mar-a-Lago, I met 3 different Trumps in less than a 24-hour period. I absolutely saw and met 3 different Donald Trumps, period. And so in fact, coincidentally, I guess I don't really believe in coincidences, but when I got to the ladies' tea at Mar-a-Lago, which was the first event of the first day, Mark, I happened to be assigned at the seat nearest the door. And I was at not only at the table that was the closest to the door, but the seat that was the closest. And so when he came in, I was so close to him. And so then that night, we got a gentleman there with that event was supposedly the first event that a public event that Melania had attended since they left the White House. And so she was there, supposedly it was her, and he was there, and he was the one speaking and doing the keynote, and he's talking about Raising Cain and all of that, and the funny stories. And it seemed like him. It seemed like the man that we elected in 2016. And then the next day, a couple of words out of his mouth, and I said, that ain't him. But it was somebody posing as him, and everybody referring to him, Daniel Radcliffe referring to him as Mr. President, all of them. And so, but I knew it wasn't him. And so just from what he had said, but at the end of the day, we know there are different Trumps. And I think that's part of what seems so confusing and what's so maddening at times. And so it's like, okay, are there some bad Trumps, or is it all just what in the world? And so it's exhausting at times. And people want to go, well, there's an actor and there's this and there's, but at the end of the day, this is insane. This is crazy stuff.
Look, and let me say something about that. I don't care if there's 10 Trumps.
Mm-hmm.
The bottom line is whoever holds the office of the president or is giving the perception of holding the office of the president, that's who it is. It doesn't matter if it's a fake Trump or a real Trump.
But it can be more than one.
That's my point. So it doesn't matter. They're giving the perception to the American public that nothing's getting done. It doesn't matter if it's 10 Trumps up there. It just, again, it's like somebody's got to take control. Who is it? Which one is it going to be here?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. But again, this is Trump's mess. He's got to clean it up.
Yeah. Yeah. Just interesting. Okay. So just when you think you've heard it all, this is crazy what the police are saying about the Somalis and bodies. Just listen to this. Just when you think you've heard it all, listen to this one.
Have you ever looked at cardiac arrests involving Somalis? It's like, I kind of grokked what she was getting to. And I was like, you mean like, are Somalis dying of natural causes and being reported? And she was like, yeah. She was like, I was talking with Minneapolis police officers, and none of them ever remember responding to a cardiac arrest, aneurysm, stroke of a older Somali person. And you're just looking at the actuarial tables. You would think 100,000 people out there, the odds say that some of them are going to have heart attacks, they're going to die, and then the police or the emergency services are going to be called to respond. None of the police officers ever remember going to a Somali DOA. And so I go to some of my sources in the Lewiston Police Department and ask, do you remember ever responding to Somali DOA's cardiac events? Like, they start laughing. Like, you know, we were just talking about this at the station, and no one really remembers responding to Somali DOAs. So what's happening? You know, based on that sample, you know, it's not totally scientific, but we know there's some natural deaths happening from medical events within the Somali community that are not being reported to the state, to the medical authorities, to EMS. Now, why is that? So what happens if grandma's got subsidized senior housing, an EBT card, and Medicaid benefits, and you report that she's passed away? Okay, so those benefits get shut off. Everybody can understand, yeah, you just keep the benefits going. This is how you end up with Social Security, or more so the EBT cards, benefits going to dead people. But what are they doing with the bodies?
That's what I was going to ask.
What are they doing with the bodies?
Okay, so I see Sheva says, Michelle, you can't be serious. You are why our side is laughed at like we're psychotic. No, I'm dead serious. I met 3 different Trumps in person at Mar-a-Lago, and I'm going to take it a step further, Shia. So before I went, the week before, I was actually offered to play golf with Trump. Now, here we are in what is called a war, so to speak, for at least, I don't know, years now, over a decade. And so when I got off the phone after saying, no, I'll go to the ladies' luncheon because I don't even putt, much less golf, I thought something's really, really off, that they would offer for me to play golf with President Trump when we're supposed to be in a war. So how you reconcile that is beyond me. But I'm telling you right now, there's way more than one Trump. And if you can't see the difference between them, maybe you ought to get your eyes checked. I don't know, honey. All right. So, yeah, the police are saying that they don't get called to pick up the Somali grandma.
Wouldn't surprise me. Kind of makes you wonder where the bodies are going.
Yeah.
Satanic, sacrifices or something. Who knows?
Well, and so that way they can continue to collect Social Security, Medicaid, food stamp cards, whatever it might be. So it's very interesting. Okay, so Mark, I appreciate you being here today. I appreciate you shining some light, especially when it comes to spiritually. But before we go, I want to ask you, your whatever final thoughts and closing thoughts that you might have for this week, please.
I actually have two major things I'd like to cover real quick. I want to go back to the assault weapons ban. In that assault weapons ban they were talking about in Virginia, we played on this show a few months ago where Pam Bondi was the oh gosh, he was on YouTube. The guy we played, I can't remember his channel now. But anyhow, we played. He was an attorney, and he was hammering Pam Bondi for making some anti-Second Amendment decisions that she would make it at the DOJ. And in that same show, right after that, we played a video of Kash Patel testifying before Congress that he would support a weapons ban. So I just saw before the show started, or actually was when the show was starting, I was watching a video where Trump's somewhere doing a tour of someplace up in, I think in Iowa or somewhere. And he just made a statement that he didn't like the fact that the guy who was shot in Minneapolis had a gun. So I'm going to say something respectfully to the president. Mr. President, do not mess with the Second Amendment. If you do, you will hand the midterms over to the Democrats. Please, sir, listen to what we're saying. The Second Amendment is near and dear to every true patriot's heart. Don't go down that road that the Clintons went down. You have multiple individuals are in his administration who I believe, because you don't support a weapons ban like Kash Patel unless you're anti-Second Amendment. Now, everybody knows I have no love lost for Kash Patel. I can't stand the guy. The guy has no business even being in there. He's an attorney. He has 0 law enforcement experience. So you tell me why he's in that position, just like Pam Bondi or any of the rest of these guys. So you can't go down that road of starting to hammer the guns, because you will hand it to the Democrats in a hurry, because the Patriots have had enough. If you really want to spark a revolution, you start with the guns right now at this point in this nation, because it's not going to happen. That's number one. Number two, there is a massive prophetic exposure going on right now. I don't know if anybody is paying attention to this with Sean Bowles out west. And it has to do with Bill Johnson, Chris Valentron. There's a whole ton of people. And Mike Winger has been out there exposing these guys and what's been going on. And so this is the part where God was saying that he was going to expose these people, these fraudulent individuals. And I know that there was I have not seen it, okay, but there was a supposed repentance video made by Bill Johnson and Chris Ballatron. There was some tears shed. I don't care about the tears at this point. This is the part where America's got to get over this mess, because you can shed the tears and the repentance could be real. That's great. I'm great. I received the apology. I received the repentance. But when you're covering up for someone who is a fraud, who's been actually almost to the point of illegal activity, you are as guilty as the individual that committed it in these churches or behind the pulpit, guys. These guys are psychics, clairvoyants, remote viewers. We've been through all of this over the years that I've been on your show. MK Ultra, they're running a program. They're hearing from the second heaven. This is why it's so dangerous to be behind the pulpit right now in order to trust some of these people. But when you've been protecting this stuff for decades, you have no business being in ministry. I don't care who you are. And I'm going to call it out. Bill Johnson and Chris Ballatron and all these guys that Mike Winger's been naming off that knew about this fraud that was going on need to leave the ministry. We receive your repentance. God will receive anyone if they repent. We receive the apology, we receive the repentance. But that doesn't mean it stops justice from taking place, which is exactly the prophetic words that God spoke about in here. Just because you repent doesn't mean it's going to stop justice. Yes, you can repent and God will receive you, but it's not going to stop the justice. And that's the mentality that the Christians need to get. These people need to step down from ministry. It's no different than the frauds we've been exposing over the years. I can go name after name after name, all of this stuff. It is treason, spiritual treason is what this is against the kingdom of God. It's the people. How many people over the years have been wounded, have been hurt by these individuals? I don't care if it's Joni Lamb and that whole thing that was going on over there. It doesn't matter. All of these things are being exposed on a level now, guys, that is increasing tenfold right now at this point. So if you haven't listened to Mike Winger's, it's about a 5-hour video. Go listen to part of it. Listen to parts of it. But the point is that this stuff's being exposed on a massive level right now. And until the people rise up and say, I want accountability, here we go again. It's in all aspects of life, the political, the religious, it doesn't matter. And they don't want the religious to fall because they don't have a mechanism in which to control the people through religion right now, because they've lost them in politics. Politics controlled the people. It doesn't anymore. Too many people are awake. They need religion. So, but it's being exposed out here, guys. So don't fall for these fraudulent false prophets and false pastors we've been exposing over the years. Just keep your discernment up right now. But that is taking place right now. But these guys need to be step aside, step out of ministry. You had the Todd Bentley thing. You had Rick Joyner. You had all these names, these big names. I've followed. I've even had Sean Bowles at a couple of conferences I went to years ago. Didn't know any better. Had some of his books here. I have. You see how many books I got on my shelf? Not many right now at this point, because I have gone through my stash, I don't know, 100 times once I find out about people, and I throw that stuff out of my house because I don't want it, because it's witchcraft at that point as far as I'm concerned. I don't want that stuff in my house. So pay attention, guys.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. I appreciate the insight. Thanks for being here. Thank you, Mark.
For having me.
Have a great week, honey. All right. So I hope y'all have enjoyed him being here. Okay, tomorrow we've got a documentary. It's Wednesday. Documentary educational video. Thursday, you will not want to miss it. We've got some insight. Y'all are going to love it. Got something big planned for Thursday. And then Friday, Michelle Aganza. So excited about that as well. Let's see. I wanted to go back. There was someone who said, there's a number of things to go back to. DG 1934 says, Michelle, I believe you. I've noticed him looking different, talking about President Trump, his hair and skin color and eyes. Yeah. And so definitely. And so there's so much. So, at the end of the day, there's the one that I call golfer Trump. I've been very open about that. And then when the third one that I met, when he said, my eyes, is that Radcliffe up on the stage, which it was, but he goes, my eyes just aren't what they used to be. I was like, that ain't Trump. And the funny thing is, it actually, to me, looked like Robert, I think was his brother's name, that supposedly passed away on a Saturday evening while President Trump was still president in his first term. And so I don't know. Did he pass away? I have no clue. I just know that this gentleman really looked a lot like that brother of his. And so, anyways, but yeah, and I had someone say something about that I was the only one that disclosed. Oh, Michelle, I believe you met many Trumps, but why doesn't anyone else say this? No one else says this. Simply Sylvia. That's right. Well, there's different reasons. And so, but everybody plays along, and I don't understand it either, honey. I don't know, but I do the full disclosure. I let you know everything that I know, and you decide for yourself. And so if somebody wants to think that I'm cuckoo or whatever, I don't really care. I'm going to tell you the truth so I can sleep good at night, because that's what God's called me to do. And so if you don't like it, that's on you, not me. I will see you right here next time on the Michelle Moore Show.
Hi, I'm Linda Bamber Olson, the inventor of the Wave Watch, the world's first frequency therapy watch. It features over 1,100 targeted frequencies combined into 150 playlists for ease of use. These sounds are acoustical and they move through your body, through your skin and your bones. You don't necessarily have to hear it. As each frequency goes through, it can be realigning, revitalizing, reconnecting, and even rebalancing your body all the way to the cellular level. So that's why we have so many testimonies for aches, ADD and ADHD, allergies, colds and flu, dental, emotions, headaches, joints, kidney stones, nerves, organs, skin health, swelling, tremors, vagus nerve, and so many more. Use this code for $100 off when you purchase the Wave Watch. Thanks for learning about frequencies, using them, and supporting the Wave Watch.
Hi friends, it's Michelle Moore. And when it comes to protecting your retirement, I believe in taking smart, steady steps. Bank of America analysts call gold the ultimate safe haven, and when it comes to precious metals, I trust Universal Coin and Bullion, the official rare coin and bullion dealer of my show. They have been named the best in their industry both nationally and regionally by leading organizations. Consider a gold IRA, a time-tested way to diversify your portfolio with real tangible assets, which lets you move a portion of your retirement savings into physical gold, helping protect your wealth from inflation, market swings, and economic uncertainty. And Universal Coin and Bullion makes the process easy. From rollovers to delivery, they walk you through every step, even if you have one with another gold company. Protect what you've worked so hard to build from the team that I trust, Universal Coin and Bullion, at 800-321-8700, and make sure to tell them Michelle sent you.
There aren't a lot of reasons to use Godly Granny products. There's every reason, because every time you twist or flip a cap on something from Godly Granny, you're voting no to chemicals and yes to common sense, but without all the electronic voting machines. With Godly Granny, there's no toxins, no chemicals, no endocrine disruptors, no cancer-chasing filler. Godly Granny is a small batch, made-to-order, deeply naturopathic wellness brand. Founded on biblical truth, formulated with pure purpose, and handcrafted by saved folks who know that freedom doesn't come from fake lavender and phthalates. Go to godlygranny.com today. Be sure and use the discount code Michelle10 at checkout to receive 10% off your entire order.
For Michelle's social media links, go to michellemooreshow.com.